Hello and welcome to Crime Stoppers in Metro Alabama, Crime Victims Chronicles, where we focus on the victims of homicide, those left behind, and the impact this crime has both on the family and on our community. Our focus today is Roger Cheatham. Roger was 31 years old. He was a father. He was also an only son. On August the 16th of 2016, after 10 p.m. in the evening, 3 individuals forced their way into Roger's home, where he was shot and later died. Roger's mother, Angela, has sought justice for her son for 6 years. Every day, she thinks of his life, what he could have been, and how much his loss means to her. So today we're going to hear her story. We're going to hear a mother's story about the loss of her only son. We're here today with Angela Cheatham, and Ms. Cheatham, thank you for being here today. We are at Crime Stoppers have started a new program called Crime Victims Chronicles. And what this program is about, it's about telling the stories about crime victims, specifically homicide victims. Because we know that beyond the news stories and beyond the postings that Crime Stoppers does every day as a tool for law enforcement, there's a life. And we feel that it's very, very important for that person's life story to be told. And there's no better person to tell the story of Roger Cheatham than you, his mom. Okay? So that's really what we want to focus on. We want to focus on Roger, on who he was, how this crime's affected your family and Roger's children, and what you do and have done consistently since August of 2016 to try to keep focus on Roger's case, still looking for the person that did this, the person that changed your family's future and took your son from you. So let's just have a conversation about that, because that's really the focus today is Roger and your family. Okay?
Okay.
So tell me a little bit about your son.
Okay, first I want to say thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. My son, we was just very quiet family. He was 31 years old at the time. He worked, good places. He worked at UAB, Brookwood.
So he had a future. He had
Right.
had his life organized and had good jobs and was had a very bright future in front of him.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say, because I don't mind saying, just because I didn't like how they listed it in the paper at first, a known drug house. That's not true. So I wanted to clear that up about that article, because I never had a chance to clear that.
Right.
And like I say, he was always at home with he had 3 kids. 2 of them stayed with him. And Rod was a very fun person. He was quiet. He was just Roger. He never been in trouble. I tried to raise him the right way.
But he was taking care of his children.
He
and
was
a good father.
good father.
Yeah. And I understand the children were there that night.
They was there that night
that he was killed.
I was on the phone with Roger that night at 10:15. Usually when I'm fussing at him about something he did, he tried to rush and get me off the phone.
Right.
And he was like, "Oh, Ma, I'll call you back. I'm going to call you back." And I said, "Okay." 10:30, I got a call from the children's mother and said Roger had been shot. And I thought she was just playing. Because I just got off the phone with him. And I was like, "Brittany, stop playing." And she said, "I'm not playing." She was at work. and her son called her. So my grandkids was there that night. They was sleeping in the room. His neighbor was sitting on the sofa. Roger walked to the back to go check on the kids. When he walked to the back to go check on the kids, that's when these 3 guys came in. Well, he couldn't do anything. They was already in there. So they was open, shitting, I guess, cabins, looking for whatever they was looking for. To my knowledge, they didn't find anything. They say Roger got the tussling with one of them. And the guy couldn't get Roger off of him. So that's when the guy shot him. These guys is from the neighborhood because the streets talk. You know these guys from their hair, their body, I'm quite sure their shoes. You know a person if they just got on a bandana.
Right.
But we know the guy. I know the guys. The detective know the guys. But they have to put them there. Nobody is talking because of this no snitching rule. I hear that these guys are killers. And people are afraid to talk.
So really, your purpose and what you've been doing for these last 5 years is keeping this story alive.
I'm keeping it alive.
So that possibly there's somebody in the community that does know who did this and that would be willing to step forward and talk to the Birmingham Police Department, talk to the detective, and let you know how this happened, why this happened, and who took your son from you.
Right.
And I think just from talking to you, that's what I see, that your strength and your purpose is to carry on for Roger, who can't speak for himself, who can't ask for help at this point, but to keep that story alive and not let the public or law enforcement or anyone else forget what you lost that night. And I know we talked a little bit about just, the impact of homicide on families, survivors that are left behind, and what they have to deal with every day. We see a lot of that. We see these stories in the news every day. We hear the numbers of families that are experiencing this very situation. And, can you in any way explain how you've been able to get up every day and face this fight, this battle that you've got, and still carry on for your son?
It's hard. I have to do counseling. I have to see my psychiatrist. I'm on 7 different medications because of this. It don't help, and like I explained to my counselor, I can come here and I can talk to y'all about it, but when I leave, I'm still facing the same problem. So no medicine they gives me can help what's going on with me. No medication. The only thing the medicine does is like help me sleep and help me from dreaming.
Right.
And with my grandkids, I know how I'm struggling with it. And my grandson now, who will be 14 in a couple months, he's really struggling with it. Because he the one went in there and found his dad like that.
Yeah. If there was anything that you could say to the public, because really that's who we're trying to reach. We're trying to reach the citizens of Birmingham or surrounding areas that may know something about what happened that night. And if there was one thing that you could say to them, or more than one thing, from a mother, from your heart, to them, to ask them to help you, what would you say to the people of Birmingham that's watching this?
All I can say, I'm gonna continue to beg, and I'm just begging and begging for someone to please come forth, because as well as it happened to me, it can happen to you or your family member. I can understand. I really understand if they scared, but if they can just come in silence, and they don't have to be put out there.
Yeah.
Um, I hope that can happen. I don't know, because I never dealt with this before. But if they can just come forth to the detectives, to Crime Stopping, and don't have to be put out there, because and these guys, they are killers. So I can understand if they scared. I really can understand, because I don't want nobody else to get killed.
Sure.
For coming trying to turn somebody else in. But I'm just begging and begging. Please come forward. Please come forward. If you know anything about the killing of Roger Cheatham.
All right. Angela, we appreciate you coming.
And I thank y'all for having me.
And we certainly hear your voice. And we're going to put this out so that other people can hear from a mother what losing a child to a homicide does to you and to your family. We appreciate you being part of helping us start this program, and you're doing that in your son's name. So we appreciate you being the first on our new Crime Victims Chronicles program. To let, I think it's very important, and Crime Stoppers believes that it's very important for the public not just to read a news story about your son, but to know who your son was, and also to know what sacrifice you're making to make sure that he receives justice. And again, we thank you.
I thank y'all.
All right.
If you know anything about this homicide, contact Crime Stoppers of Metro Alabama. You remain anonymous, and if your tip leads to an arrest, you could receive a cash reward of up to $5,000.